going to be really quick. I just want to read something here. First, let me just say doctors deserve all the respect in the world because, first of all, the years and the money it takes to train to become a nurse or a doctor after high school. But not just that, but everything they go through when they go into their internship and ultimately become an official doctor. I'm not saying interns are not doctors, but the training and the experience, God forbid, I mean, not God forbid, that's not the right term. Okay, here. I'm reading Michael Crichton's The Five Patients. I've been looking for this book for about maybe a year or two, and I finally got my hands on it. So I'm gonna just read something here. I'm gonna read like an excerpt or two. So here's something. However great the kindness and the efficiency, wrote George Orwell, in every hospital death there will be some cruel, squalid detail, something perhaps too small to be told, but leaving terribly painful memories behind, arising out of the haste, the crowding, the impersonality of a place where everyday people are dying among strangers. And that and another excerpt, where is it? It's not too far off. And while reading through it, Mr. Crichton was a doctor. He did train to become a doctor. And I think something else. He was really involved in education a whole lot. Rather than just a novelist, he was also an instructor in universities. It all comes together. Total science freak. So here's another excerpt. Why I say doctors deserve my respect and what I said earlier. Here's another excerpt from this book. So at 6 p.m., a 46-year-old insurance salesman arrived after vomiting up blood. 20 minutes after that, at 6:20, a man came in with his 61-year-old mother, who had suddenly lost her ability to speak and seemed to have trouble keeping her balance. Then came a 19-year-old graduate student who had broken a glass while washing dishes and cut her ankle. At 7 p.m., a arrived a 13-year-old boy who had been sideswiped by a car and had suffered a scalp laceration. At 7:30, half an hour later, a child who had fallen out of bed and cut his forehead. At 8, a 50-year-old man suffering from a heart attack. Moments later, an unresponsive 20-year-old girl who had swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills. And just before that, I read about, I think, a 19-year-old or 20-year-old trying to kill her 2 or 3-year-old child because she was crying too much. trying to kill these babies. Stop killing these babies. So how do I get 20 views and you just leave? Okay, never mind. But okay, swallowing a bottle of sleeping pills. You're either trying to kill. Wait, I gotta say unalive yourself, or you're really trying to go to bed. Don't take a bunch of pills, please. That's not gonna work. Swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills brought in by roommates. Yeah, I don't think they knew what they were doing. A 2-year-old child who cried and tugged at his ear. Did he injure his ear while doing that? A 19-year-old boy with epididymitis. I can't remember how to say that. A 36-year-old. I think that requires surgery. Actually, a 36-year-old woman who had driven her car into a telephone pole and was unconscious. A 59-year-old alcoholic who said he had been beaten by 2 sailors and had facial lacerations. A man who was thought to be in a diabetic coma. A linotype operator who had burned his left hand. An elderly man who had fallen and broken his hip. A 48-year-old man who with abdominal pain and rectal bleeding. At midnight, this is midnight. We started at 6 p.m. Now it's midnight. A woman arrived complaining of squeezing chest pain. Now it's 2 a.m. A 62-year-old man with known cancer arrived with a high fever at 2:30 a.m. The school teacher who had abdominal surgery 2 months before was admitted with symptoms of small bowel obstruction. That must be crazy. The last resident got to bed shortly before 5 a.m., lying fully dressed on a stretcher in one of the treatment rooms. On his door was tacked a sheet of paper which said, "Wake me at 6:30 a.m." And when I read that, and I love Crichton's books, and while reading that, schizophrenia. No, I'm reading an excerpt from a book. This is Michael Crichton was a doctor. So this is kind of his experience from Massachusetts General Hospital. So when I read all this, and think about how to deal with children when they're injured, or they get in an accident, or they're sick or they hurt. And think about doctors have to deal with that too. And doctors also have to deal with a lot of trauma, maybe the legs getting cut off, stuff like that. I mean, just earlier in the book, there was a construction accident. I think they fell off what happened? The wind blew too hard and they fell off like 40 feet high off a flight carrier or something like that. And then one died. Some of them got lacerations, and the police and everybody, they were rolling into the hospital, and there's a bunch of activity. So you have to think about the trauma. You have to think about the trauma they had to go through, and they're young kids. I mean, not young. I mean, they're likely interns. Some of them are interns, and they have to go through this all day. Even it don't have to be traumatic. I mean, it could be kids, but they have to deal with. And this is the emergency ward. There's also an acute psychiatric ward too. There's that. There's the emergency ward, the acute psychiatric ward. Like you might come in, like you might have headaches or something, or I've been smoking too much. There's one lady in here. She was seeing things like, what are you smoking in 1968? She talk about she was she thought she was invisible and she was at a party and she or something like that. I read it, I'm like, what are they smoking over there? Like they must have meth or something. So how to be a good serial killer? No, it's the setting's a hospital. It's not a psychiatric ward. It's an actual hospital. It's a general hospital. Why am I answering? I have no idea. So yeah, when I read, I like reading books like these to give me insight into places I just can never be in, and I just have deep respect for people who train as doctors. And I just can't imagine what they're going through COVID. And they also explained in the book that they need to speed up you know, curative medical procedures when it comes to diseases because we need free beds. I mean, we need more safety measures, that kind of thing. Oh, they also were talking about cardiac arrest. So the moral of the story when it comes to cardiac arrest, learn CPR and make sure your brain has a lot of oxygen. Like make sure don't shut off your brain. And that's it. I just can't help it. It's not. I haven't been far enough, and I already respect doctors even more. So yeah, I say read more. So, and then I think about that line from that phrase from James Orwell about how hospital deaths are quick and how you die amongst strangers and how everyone has to deal with it. Not just the family, but also the people in the hospital. I really don't know what y'all are talking about in this chat room, but I'm assuming nobody's real. So, that's all I'm going to say for now. I already did Helter Skelter, so hello and good night.